Are we looking at the telltale signs of a major hurricane somewhere in the Atlantic as we head toward the 16th, 17th, and 18th? And could that impact North America? We're looking at that in today's video. We're also looking at what's happening way north. Some colder air starting to build. We're also going to start to see that weather pattern change. And how will that impact the tropics over the next month? I can tell you it certainly will. So stick around. We're going to get into that. Let's first talk about the tropical problem that I see as we head into the next couple of weeks. This is the European ensemble guidance plots. Okay, so there are multiple areas of low pressure being showing up here. It doesn't mean you're going to get a barrage of hurricanes or tropical storms kicking toward the eastern United States. Instead, it's showing where each plot of low pressure is showing up on the different varieties of model guidance from the European. So each of these models start with a little bit of a different parameter, some different inputs, some different equations, and that gives you kind of a different output of where low pressure will be. And when you see these clustered close together, it looks good. When they're spread far apart, the problem is where will it be? However, the fact that you see this many, it's a telltale sign that it's a period that needs to be watched. Several models bring it into the East Coast. Some of them bring them into the Gulf. Some of them push this as far west as Texas or maybe as far northeast as Nova Scotia. A lot of time to go, but the fact that it's showing up is important. And look how tight this is starting to get, right? You're seeing that here into parts of the Western Atlantic. So I think we have to watch from the Caribbean north, maybe all the way to Bermuda at this point. As we start to see this get tighter, I think the concern will clearly start to grow and we can start to narrow down where this is going. That's going to happen over the coming days, so stay tuned. It's something of interest too. Watch what's happening here across the Northeast Gulf, just off the coast of Florida. A weak area of low pressure is likely going to move out over the water for a while. If we can see some thunderstorm development around that area of low pressure, there could be a weak tropical depression to form. Now, this is the potential of seeing that. It's about 20 to 30% chance at best, relatively low. Either way, I think we see some heavy rain across the southeast. That could be a problem. I do want to put this into motion and take the GFS out in time. And look how cold it is, by the way, across parts of northern Alaska along the North Slope. Some snow possible as we head through this week as some colder air moves in. And here's the question. You're starting to develop this trough here across the west, right? With some cooler weather across the Pacific Northwest. And now we're looking at what would be our hurricane moving through the Atlantic. You see the pieces, right? Starting to come together and the drivers in place. High pressure, Azores high, if you will, driving this to the west. The question is, will we have some sort of trough digging in to the central United States that will pull this north? Well, the operational run of the GFS earlier this morning said, nope, it's not going to do that. In fact, it's going to drive it west and put a major hurricane into Houston. Before you panic, I want to show you the 18Z run. Boom, sends it to Nova Scotia. So even the GFS telling a different story because look, it's all about the placement of this trough axis, right? So wherever that is, it's going to drive the storm, and the GFS just has a completely different look on August 18th, right? So still a lot of time before we narrow this down. Either way, this right here has my attention, and especially the fact that we're clustering things up a little bit closer. Of course, there's a lot of spread once you get toward the 19th and the 20th. I'll be on it. So if you love this kind of stuff, we dig into the details of what maybe be driving these storms. We also look at bigger features too, like what's happening in the Arctic. If you want to see some of the sea ice videos I've done this week, I'll link to that below because I've been looking at that and I broke that down a little bit. So more there. We're not going to talk about that today. We're going to talk about what's going on over the next couple of days first. So area of low pressure across Manitoba and Saskatchewan will move to the east. It's going to bring some showers across North Dakota, but it's also, at least the energy that's part of this, is going to bring some severe storms across Colorado as we head into Sunday. It's pinwheeling really around this area of low pressure or this trough. So some severe weather possible Saturday, also into Sunday. Again, Sunday looks to be a much more active day. We'll look at the central U.S. in just a second, a little bit closer. Hot across the southwest as we head into Saturday. A little bit hotter too across the Pacific Northwest and Northern California as we head into Sunday. So a pretty toasty weekend across the west. Further to the east, we've been cool. East of the mountains into the southeast, it's been cloudy. Temperatures tomorrow could be warmer in the northeast than it will be in Charlotte, especially once you get a little bit further to the west across Michigan, southern parts of Ontario. It's going to be downright hot, especially as we head into Sunday. So these departures from average run anywhere from 10 degrees above average to 10 degrees below average over a pretty tight space here, at least here on the map. So things are a little bit flipped. Look at these temperatures, 70s across the Carolinas. We're in the upper 80s, close to 90 near Detroit. And this is really just because of this low pressure and this easterly flow that we've been seeing for the last couple of days. That will continue. You can see the clouds and the easterly flow even showing up here on the temperatures on the model. Another cool day heading into Sunday. Highs in the upstate of South Carolina, maybe not be getting out of the 70s. Pop west of the mountain, some downsloping flow, and we're warming up into the upper 80s, close to 90 for places like Chattanooga, Lexington, Kentucky, north up to Cincinnati, even Detroit, central Michigan, back up into the upper 80s to low 90s. Here's a look at the future radar. You can see that low spinning here across Florida. That's going to bring some really heavy rain across this region. Showers possible further to the north. Some of the rain could be heavy at times as well across South Carolina as we get this onshore flow. That could linger into Sunday morning too, and the rain could be really efficient and heavy across parts of North Florida, southern Georgia, southern Alabama. And now we're watching this low as it moves out to sea. What happens here? Does it develop? Does it start to spin? Either way, whether it develops or not, you're going to get some heavy rain, I think, as we head toward the first part of the week. Severe storms also possible as we head into Saturday. Maybe a few strong ones lingering through the morning hours, but we start to lose that and redevelop things into the afternoon again across parts of Iowa, and some of that could linger into the evening hours. In fact, the 3K NAM trying to develop this complex and bow it out. Look at that. Now you're talking about when you see this type of look, that could mean damaging winds, some hail. Bottom line, this could be a pretty impactful thunderstorm complex dropping south into Missouri. Some of that could linger into early Sunday morning. And now we're watching energy kick out of the Four Corners states. So severe storms possible as we head into Sunday across West Texas, northern Oklahoma, even parts of Kansas. And some of these storms could really pulse up and linger into the early morning hours of Monday with some decent rain that could cause some flooding problems. A hot one for sure. Talk about a charged atmosphere, highs in the 100s across West Texas, even as far north as Oklahoma and Kansas. A little bit cooler as we see some chillier air, at least for August standards, trying to drop into northern Missouri, back into the upper 70s and low 80s across Iowa as well. And then as we head into Monday, another hot one across the deep south, especially across Alabama, Mississippi, Arkansas, but some cooler air trying to work in with this front to the north with numbers slightly cooler, at least back into the 80s, with 90s suppressed further to the south and east across southern Indiana, Illinois, and down into Kentucky. And I'll leave you with this. This is something we've been looking at on the videos for the last couple of days. Telltale signs of winter. Look at the snowpack trying to be at least started across parts of Siberia as we head toward the 8th and the 9th. This is something that I will continue to watch. We'll start to compare over the next month or so what snowpack looks like this time of year relative to what we're starting to see as we head through September and October. To me, that's one of the things you have to watch as you head into winter. Because how much snow you get across Siberia, also the Northwest Territories and Alaska, really helps that cold air pool up. I'll be watching it, so come on back, and I'll see you next time.